I said we've had all different types of issues going on, and we've had some extreme audio issues going on tonight here on Blog Talk Radio. But I want to thank you for making yourself available, and thank you for your patience.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Ted.
No problem, no problem. Like I said, my apologies for all these you know what? I'll take accountability for all of this stuff because technology is never 100%.
No, it isn't. We're not computers.
Right, and I will tell you, I can state I've been a tech for 20 years, and I still don't get it right all the time. The example is tonight. But I mentioned international matchmaking expert, to say the least. The portfolio is pretty deep here. I've got a bunch of questions to ask.
I'm ready.
I know we might be a little short for time. If you can just give us basically your background on this specific topic inside the mind of an online predator.
Well, I've been a matchmaker for 22 years. I own Elite Connections International, and I actually a long time ago was attacked by a guy that ended up being a serial murderer. So I've always been. I got away. I didn't get hurt. I helped catch him. He went to jail, and eventually they knew he had killed like 12 people. But I always pictured online dating was going to be filled with people like that, and it's not all people like they are mixed in. So you have to be really careful. I mean, it's just like walking down a dark street in the middle of the night. Nobody would think that's safe. But for some reason, they just think, oh, everybody's dating online. It's a simple thing to do, but you have to really be careful. You have to do your due diligence. I mean, before you meet someone, you should have their first and last name. You should know where they work. You should know what area they live. So you can take a person's name and Google it and find out a lot of information that way. But just because they give you that information doesn't mean that that's who the person really is. So you have to, meet them in a very safe place. Let your friends and people know where you're going, but that's not going to do any good if you get hurt. So, just park in a valet. Be always aware of your surroundings and don't leave your drink at the table. That kind of stuff. You have to be really careful. Goes for men too.
Gotcha. I was just going to say, what are some red flags that would mean suspicious activity is present?
Well, they say a detective wrote a book about this first serial murderer that he caught that got all his victims from online dating. And he just said, that at that point, 70% of the people online were married. So you want to just be aware that if someone is taking way too long to meet you and they're going back and forth to the emails, and then you finally get a phone number and they call you and they still haven't made it time to meet, they're putting it off because there's a reason. They're probably in a relationship, or that means they're going to have a hard time getting together. They got to be really careful about what they're doing. So that is definitely a red flag when people take way too long to meet.
I will say this, Sherrie. I know last month, about 3 weeks ago, I read the story by Ingrid Lind about her slaying and being dismembered. I believe she was located somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. And you get to a point where, some of these dating sites, per se, myself, I didn't meet my way through a dating site, but you hear it that it's like just nowadays it's the norm. So,
right. Everybody's used to it.
Yeah. So,
and when it's the normal, like you're saying, when it's the normal, then people let their guard down.
I like to believe so, because I read that story because I'm located in New York, and so I read the New York Daily, and it popped up on the cover, and I said, oh my goodness. And you kind of sit there and think the checks and balances are in place, but I guess it's to a certain degree. I mean, tell us, how is your company Elite Connections made the online dating experience safe from these type of attacks?
Well, we don't. It's not online dating through us. We have a group of people who either have tried that and didn't like it, or just don't want to try it, or maybe they want to keep their lives more private, or they're just safety conscious. Whatever reasons, they come to us and they pay us the amount of money for a membership, and then we screen everybody ourselves. So, we in 22 years we've never really had a problem. It's people aren't going to take the time to come meet somebody face to face in their office if they're looking to kill people. It's just not. They're online. They're just hiding. That's easy. So
right.
We take that aspect out of it. It's just a safe way of meeting quality people. Really, it's different way.
I've got to ask you a no-brainer question. I mean, I think I kind of know, but why is internet dating such a popular activity? I mean,
well, not long ago, before the internet, everybody was doing personal ads. So it's just basically the same thing, only it's online. So before you would get, the personal ads, they'd get a magazine or a newspaper, and in the back of that there would be these ads, and sometimes they'd have pictures. And I thought that was bizarre myself, but people did it. And the internet is just it's a more fast-paced, quicker way. People can meet. I've heard people meeting 2 or 3 people in a day, 4 people in a day, and it's just a fast way to meet a lot of different people.
And I'm not sure if you answered this question, but I was going to say, how has Elite Connections been able to help people find the perfect match without the fear of online predators? I mean, you initially vet these specific...
Oh, yeah, we meet everyone in person. We check IDs. Okay. We do background checks on everyone. And in all these years, we've never had problems. So, if people aren't divorced, they'll tell us. We have had a few people that come in, they're like, well, I've been separated for 3 years. My divorce will be final in 6 months. It's just taking a long time because we have a lot of stuff to divide up. So, it's understandable. And I've never worked for anybody who went back to the ex. So, but we have very few of those. But people are honest when they come in because they want to pay that money to us. And then we find out that they lied, then we just stop matching them. So they always come in and tell us the truth about what's going on, how many children they have, and, recent photos and all of that. So, we're doing all that screening. We're the first date. So I have some clients who dated online, and they've hired me to, sift through all the people and meet some of the, women or men that they thought would look like they were good. And, I'd meet maybe 10 people that they thought were interesting, and one of them ended up being a match. So that's a lot of people running around. That's a lot of running around for the client to do to meet those 10 people. And the dinners are expensive and all of that too. So, we kind of are the first date. We meet them and then decide who our client should meet. So it takes a lot of that work out for them.
I was just going to ask you, the question is, my next to last question was going to be, how does the world of matchmaking actually work?
Well, you know what? I joined the matchmaker 22 years ago, and I thought I'm going to be alone forever if I don't try something different. My friends were dating on the personal, they'd go to bars and meet people. It just wasn't my thing. So I didn't want to date anybody I worked with. I didn't want to date anybody at my tennis club. So I thought I'm going to be alone forever. I just never went out. So a matchmaker called me. I drove down and met with her and signed up. And my future husband ended up being my first date. But I knew at the date, I thought he was the nicest person I ever met. I really liked him. Thought, we'd be great friends. He skied, and then we had a lot of things we liked to do in common. So I left there thinking I'd be a good matchmaker. So that's how I got into the business, and that's how we work. We just meet everyone in person and put together people that we think will be good couples. So I've had people who both their memberships were expired, and I introduced them anyway, and they've gotten married. And I've gone. One guy sail a boat like you can't believe. So we took a catamaran through the Caribbean, and I'm glad I made that match because I've had a lot of fun with them.
So I guess, that's the popular side to it. There's a negative side to it. What advice do you have for people who've been burned in relationships and feel that they won't recover?
You mean dating online?
Yes.
Oh, you just have to shake it off. And like when you're saying burned, I guess, you fell in love with the person and then they dumped you. But, I've had, in this business 22 years, I've had one person after another come in and tell me their sad story about how they were so much in love with this person and the person dumped them and ended up marrying somebody else. And, I'll ask them every time, well, you've never broken someone's heart before? And of course, they always say, yeah, I have. I said, well, it's just your turn. Now you know how it feels. You need to be more careful. Don't get involved with people until you really think you care about them. And, give it time to get to know people. It hurts, but it happens to everybody. You just have to shake it off. And, my fix-all for every broken heart was go skiing. Snow skiing. It fixes it every single time. You just got to go have fun, or, get out there and laugh, enjoy some fresh air, and you'll feel better in a weekend.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't sit home crying about it. It's not going to fix anything.
No. You can't. So, this is your primary venture. Would you like to tell us about the 9 years you spent at the South Bay newspaper, writing a specific column, advice column?
Right. We worked as a beach reporter and wrote Matters of the Heart dating column. And so people would give us their dilemmas and problems with dating, and we'd answer that. And a lot of times people loved our advice and they'd come in and join with us. But yeah, we did that for 9 years. Our picture was in the paper every week, and we'd go to the grocery store and little kids would go, hey, it's pretty funny. People would recognize us. But we gave some good advice, I guess, because we were in there for such a long time.
Sherrie, when you're not being the international matchmaking expert, what do you spend your time doing?
You know what? I have a family, so the other day I took my grandson out riding a skateboard. I got ejected off into the street, so I'm not as good as I used to be, but it's still fun. I like to snow ski, I play tennis, and, I work a lot, but I like to have fun, too. I'll go to happy hour tonight with my matchmaker here in Orange County, and I'm sure we're going to have a good time. So you can't work all the time, right?
That's true. That is true. Oh, my goodness. Sherrie, if you could just tell us best ways to get in contact with you, best ways to find your dating site, and best ways to find you, or per se, not find you, but find more about your company on social media.
Yeah, we have clients worldwide. So we've got offices in Miami, New York, and all over Southern California, but we have, Las Vegas, all different areas where we have matchmakers and offices. So I've got a client in Thailand that I introduced that got married. So you can reach us at 800-923-4200, or any place on our website will come to me, Elite Connections.
Sherrie, want to give you a round of applause?